Welcome to the Crack House Chronicles, your favorite true crime podcast. I am Donnie, and with me is a man that says things get worse before they get better. That's why he makes things worse as quick as possible.
I just start out worse.
It is Dale.
So if you start out worse, you just make it,
Start out worse. It's got to get better.
That's right. You start at the bottom. Just get up and just be pissed off or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, not pissed off,
It's like what is Howard Jones says, things can only get better.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, Howard. Is that what he said?
Yeah, that's what he said in the song. Anyway,
Okay.
What's going on today, dude?
You know it. Same old, man.
Same old.
Well, not really, but,
Same old.
same old.
Yeah. You got any good shout-outs anybody want to talk about?
Look here.
Dale's got that clap.
Oh, yeah, I got the clap out today. We have a brand new Apple Podcast 5-star review, and this comes in from Crazy4, ... So that's crazy and then FOR ... So whatever that means. And I hope that's all of it because that's all I can see. Anyway, it says superb tag team storytellers. So that's us.
Man.
STTS.
Yeah. We had to put on our wrestling outfit for tag team.
That was a smack tag. You just couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
We tried.
We just high-fived each other across the
table's too wide.
Yeah.
Here we go. All right, this is my go-to podcast for my true crime fix. Donnie and Dale bring their own unique style to the show. They play well off each other with just the right amount of humorous banter. Donnie's opening dish on Dale is so funny, and Dale's inserted comments are spot on. Like when he says trash repeatedly. Do I say trash a lot? Trash.
You just said it.
Repeatedly. Trash. I'm going to say trash a lot. Anyway.
You just said it 3 times.
So thank you both for sharing your talents of giving detailed information that is close to the true account and providing as much information to your listeners as you can find and keep the storyline interesting so we are hanging on your every word.
Man.
I wish the show much success, especially in helping to solve cases for families needing closure. I love you guys.
Well, we love you.
Wow. Man, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we do love you. Thank you for taking all this time to type out this wonderful 5-star review. It means a lot.
Yeah, we love you, and we love all of our listeners. And if anybody else wants to be like Crazy4 ... you can go to Apple Podcast and leave a 5-star rate and review. You got to write something in the box, and we'll get a notification. You'll get a big old shout out.
Yes, you will.
And you can give a 5-star rate on Spotify, and under each episode, if you just scroll up under each episode, it gives you a little box there to write something about each episode if you so desire.
But it does not let us know you did that.
No, there's probably a way to get notifications on that, and I check that pretty regular.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty cool if y'all can do that. That sure helps us a whole bunch.
It does.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. It does help us out a lot, and you can also leave comments and stuff on YouTube and that kind of stuff too. But anyway, also like to say thanks to our pal Chris Wanick. We really appreciate you dropping the little cash in the bucket to help pay a few bills this month. It is very appreciative.
Yes, we are looking to buy some new equipment.
Yeah, it comes in handy, doesn't it?
Some new headphones and some other things, and I texted Chris when he done that and told him what we're planning on purchasing. So yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Well, always trying to improve, man.
Yeah, right there on the website we have a gas button that goes to our PayPal. You can go and donate if you so desire.
That's right.
Yeah.
So just go to crackhousechronicles.com, hit the gas button.
Yep, and that sure helps out the cause a whole bunch.
And it does.
All right, Dale, after this short, quick break, we're going to get going this episode, dude.
I cannot wait.
All right, Dale, we are back.
We are back.
And, man, we've been heavily invested in Asha Degree.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, we have. We've done several episodes on her.
And we've both been there since day one, dude.
We have.
were there at the roadblocks that morning it happened. So,
we were.
So we're invested. We're local. We're here. And it's a big day, and I'm about to jump out of my skin.
I know. But today on the show, man, we've got a special treat for everybody. We are so privileged to have Asha's brother, O'Brien Degree, on the show, and just talk about some stuff, and
we're going to have a good conversation.
We're going to have a good conversation today. So, O'Brien, welcome to the show, man.
Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you for your patience, and glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. Mm-hmm. So, first thing I just want to know, man, who was the better basketball player, you or Asha?
Oh, here we go.
When it comes to that particular sport, she had better coordination than I did, so I can easily say that my sister was better.
Oh, man, so she could take it to the hoop on you, huh?
I'm not saying all of that. it's because I've always had the height, but
Yeah,
at the same time, she had the better coordination as far as dribbling the ball and footwork.
yeah,
Because of the simple fact I had to learn that basketball is not such a aggressive sport.
yeah,
Yeah, you a big fella.
yeah. Well, Aisha was shorter than you too, so I guess she had to
Yeah.
to
She had to work.
adapt.
Well, she was closer to the ground, so it works. Some ground skills are easier, but
Very true.
but when you smack it back out of the sky, so it kind of goes both ways, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. So I just wanted to get that out of the way because she got a pretty good basketball background, and we wanted to focus on that a little bit because it's always talked about Aisha was a basketball player and all this stuff. But what other kind of stuff was she involved in that you remember growing up with her?
Or just some stuff about her, whatever you
Yeah.
want to talk. Yeah.
So, I mean, the main thing is the year that Aisha went missing was her first year that she had ever played basketball.
Oh, wow.
So we both started out rather as baseball players, from coach pitch to the different levels because I was a grade above her, and then that's when she was migrating to like t-ball and softball, and then that's when I was going to the leagues as far as where the players actually get to pitch the ball and everything else. So we started out as baseball players first, and the year that she went missing was her first full year of actually playing basketball.
Oh wow!
And they went to the championship game, remember? Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, she basically, in lack of better words, was the star player of the team.
That's a big accomplishment.
And
then,
within her first year, she was the starting point guard and leading scorer on their team and got them all the way to the championship game, in which they lost the championship game that Saturday before her disappearance, simply because she ended up fouling out.
Yeah.
Which my family were very competitive, so that's how me and Aisha's dynamic was. We did everything together in a sense, whether it was racing outside, whether it was playing basketball in the driveway, whether it was riding bikes, whether it was playing hide and seek with my cousins. No matter what it was, as far as baseball, kickball, no matter what the game was, it was the competitive nature of trying to outdo each other, but we were thick as thieves in a sense, because we just understood each other. We wasn't twins, but we had like a twin connection almost, if you would say. But we wasn't twins. We're 11 months apart. It's just every dynamic we did together, and we just knew where each other was going to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome right there.
Right there together, as long as you can remember. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
11 months ain't nothing.
No, that's less than a year. Yeah.
So was Harold the big baseball guy? Is that why you guys were doing baseball first? I heard it was just...
So the thing about it is, my mom was actually the one that played sports in like high school and stuff. My dad didn't necessarily play sports.
Oh, okay.
The dynamic to sports, he's a sports fan, but he loves cars, man. Like, my dad is more into cars and like racing and stuff like that. That it's just, we watch sports, and that's where it just came as a sport that was natural for myself. And then when Aisha seen me doing it and I would practice at home or in the backyard, then that's when she took a liking to it as well and wanted to participate also. And then our family was just always working with us to try to help us improve our game where we could. Because my mom played softball and volleyball in high school.
But everything I've read about y'all, O'Brien, y'all were pretty tight. Everybody was just a close-knit family group y'all had going on back then, wasn't it?
So, like, my grandmother lived across the road from us.
Yeah.
And then my dad's oldest sister stayed up the road from us. So as far as the neighborhood in itself, it was pretty much a routine thing. We caught the bus at my grandmother's, which is my dad's mom, and which that's where all my cousins were as well. So all of my cousins, we all basically like stair steps in a sense. It's like 2 years or a year apart between each of us. So therefore, we all grew up together as well. So the dynamic of just being around family and not necessarily having to go outside of family to make friends became just what we became accustomed to.
Your cousins were your built-in friends.
They had some killer hide and seek games.
Oh yeah, you know they did. Basketball games and kickball. That'd be awesome.
Man, you have all your friends right there in the neighborhood. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. So man, Asha went missing on your mom and dad's anniversary, February the 14th.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know you were 11 years old at the time, but man, how did that affect you back then?
So of course, on the initial thing, being a 10-year-old kid, you're not thinking of the impact. Like, she just went here, or oh, she just went here. And so, again, me and Asha was someone that literally, if one went, the other one went. If one did something, the other one did something. Like, we were always together. So therefore, for me, I didn't really think nothing of it. I just thought she was at my grandmother's to catch the bus, because that's where we caught the bus. Like, sometimes we would get up before our parents and we would go in the kitchen and fix our own breakfast.
Yeah.
Or, which it wasn't like we were touching the stove or nothing. It simply became like eating Pop-Tarts, toaster strudels, fixing a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
Just the simple things where we didn't have to touch too much of anything else. Our parents made sure that we were and are self-sufficient in a lot of ways as far as how to take care of ourselves. So
at that age level, yeah.
At that age level, but once you get the realization that it is real, it just became the scattered thoughts or mind of, okay, what's all the places that we know? Like, where did we ride bikes? Where would she possibly go, in a sense? Because it was just, you didn't know where to look. So it wasn't necessarily thinking of the dynamic that it was my parents' wedding anniversary, because usually my parents got us up at that time to get ready for school as they would get ready to head off for work. So at the time of being 10, the thing I didn't know was my parents had took the day off for their wedding anniversary. So I'm just thinking we're getting up regular schedule wise as far as get ready to go to school type deal, because again, with it being Valentine's Day, my mom had got us the little like heart cards and candy. It's like it used to be a little box of like candy that had hearts on it, or they was in the shape of hearts. I can't really remember what they was called, but we used to have to take them to school and participate with our friends at school about Valentine's Day.
Right.
But of course, over the course of the years of her disappearance, it changed that dynamic. Even to the point now in adulthood, I don't typically celebrate Valentine's Day. I make it a point to make my parents celebrate their wedding anniversary, but at the same time, I don't typically celebrate Valentine's Day, but I also don't take that opportunity away from my daughter as well, just to make sure that she does understand what Valentine's Day is at the same time for herself.
Man,
that's a lot to carry, isn't it, man?
It does become a lot to carry from the standpoint of it's an array of emotions. So it's like, for me, like if I'm with someone, like meaning like if I have a significant person in my life, then I try to make sure I do celebrate it for their sake, but I don't like celebrate it. And that is something I let them know, that I get it and I understand why they would want to celebrate it. But for me, it carries a different weight at times.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's just a void in your life.
And if it's a close person, I'm sure they understand your point of view as well.
Oh, Brian, do you know if Asha have ever made it a habit or ever left in the middle of the night before, or wanted to leave in the middle of the night before that night?
Generally, she was the heavy sleeper. Like, if my sister was asleep, good luck trying to wake her up. It's almost like that's the crazy dynamic about our family, is me and my sister both look like my dad, but I act like my mom, and my sister acted like my dad.
Mm-hmm.
That's so meaning, like they are people that keep to themselves. You only get to really see their personality when they in front of certain individuals, and then most of the time, if they sleep, they sleep. Like, ain't good luck trying to wake them up type deal.
Yeah,
right.
And I mean that, and the reason I word it that way is because the way that my mom used to wake us up is she used to open the door and literally like just slap her hand on the wall, like to try to make a loud sound so we would jump up
Yeah.
and then like yell out our name type deal. Because we literally would, I don't want to say cocoon, but we basically would wrap ourselves in the covers under the blanket where you really couldn't tell if we were in the bed or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was just how we slept as kids. Whether it was a way to avoid, like when we have nightmares or stuff or anything else, it was just, we used to wrap ourselves up in the covers to the point that you really couldn't tell if we was in that bed or not.
But I know going into that night, it had that terrible storm, and then the power was knocked out for a while. So I didn't know if it made it that night a little bit different for the family in your in your routine, or.
The biggest thing is my family is definitely old school. I can say that now and fully grasp that. Like meaning when it's a thunderstorm or anything, especially if the power goes out. My mom's the type of person you gotta unplug everything electronic and just go lay across your bed.
Yeah, and don't get in the shower and all that. Yeah.
I remember me and my sister Asha used to basically tell my mom like, but we ain't sleepy. She'd be like, you lay there long enough, you'll go to sleep. And the biggest thing was on that particular night, it was the All-Star game. And so I was watching the game, but my sister at the point in time, she was a little upset. Not upset like at anything else. It was just we was over at my aunt's house the day before. I mean, the same day, earlier that day, that Sunday, playing basketball and everything. So it was just like, she didn't really want to leave because it was the weekend, but we also had school, so we knew we had to leave. Yeah. So when we got to the house, she was basically like she had a headache and wanted to take a nap. So she went to sleep and everything for a majority of the day. And then when the power went out, she eventually came into the living room with us, and that's where my mom and dad used to have I used to just call it the old kerosene heater on like the back porch. So my dad went and got that and lit that just so that we could stay warm and everything until the power kicked back on or whatever took place.
Right. Yeah, we've done that many times.
Oh, sure, yeah. Like that kerosene heater for sure.
Didn't you say your grandma was like that about the power? Or if it's come up a storm, you had to do this, don't put your feet on the floor.
Yeah, you had to sit with your feet off the floor and
unplug everything.
Everybody had their own rituals when a power went out in a storm. Yeah,
for sure.
That's right. So yeah, O'Brien, y'all were growing up together there, and what happened the next day? Asha goes missing, and I'm sure you being 10, going on 11 years old, seeing cops everywhere. Man, how'd that affect you back then?
So I mean, it's culture shock. For number one, I've never seen that many police in one location before. Also, like seeing like the yellow tape or anything mark off the room. Then you have family members, people that know us and everything as far as the community in which we grew up. Everybody's at the house. And so it's like you're standing outside, you're sitting in the car, your parents making sure that I'm good because, they're still in a state of panic themselves. Yeah. And then it's just trying to figure out like, okay, this is real. Like that, it's just that reality check of like, this is something that's really going on. This ain't no dream. Just that whole dynamic of, I don't know where my sister at, and I don't know what to think where she at. Yeah. It's something I tell my friends. A lot of my friends that I grew up with and a lot of my friends that I made at college, they always tell me that they know they can't say that I can't say that they are my best friend because I always tell them the last person I ever called best friend is missing.
Man.
Yeah, you guys were tight.
Yeah, that was tight stuff right there. So I guess y'all originally thought that she was down at your grandmother's house or somewhere like that.
So, I mean, originally, like I said, the way that we slept, you really couldn't tell that we was in the bed. And one thing I guess I can say that we probably get from my mom or even my dad from that aspect. Even though my sister slept heavy and even though I sleep heavy at times, it becomes, you can't touch us when you sleep because it's like a sense of panic. We might swing on you, might try to throw something, whatever else. So my mom used to always just knock on the wall and tell us to wake up. She used to call our name, like say it very loudly, so we could get up. And then she was telling me that she was like, "Where Asha?" And so I pointed to the bed, like I'm half asleep, but I pointed to the bed. I'm like, "She in her bed? Like, what are you talking about?" And when she was like, "No, she ain't," that's when I walked over there and flipped back the cover and everything. And then I was like, "Well, she probably in the kitchen," because I mean I'm half asleep myself, so
Right.
I'm rubbing my eyes and everything. I'm like, she probably in the kitchen, because the way our house was shaped, it's a L shape. If you think of a capital L, it's basically the corner of the L is the bathroom. Our bedroom was in the middle of the L, and then at the end of the little line of the L is our parents' bedroom. So that was like a straight line where it's our parents' bedroom, our bedroom, and the bathroom. So my mom looked straight ahead and was like, "Well, she's not in the bathroom." And I'm like, "Well, she might be in the kitchen." Like, I'm in the closet trying to get whatever I'm supposed to wear for school, and my mom goes to the kitchen, and then she was like, "She not in this house." And that's when she then goes in the bedroom to wake up my dad, and then she was like, "Did you see her leave the room or anything?" And it was like, "No." I mean, she went to the bathroom earlier in the day, well, earlier in the night, but she got back in the bed. And then that's when she called my grandma's house again, which was right across the road. And then my aunt stayed at the end of the road, because those were the places that
Yeah.
usually when my parents woke us up, they had to get to their jobs and their respected stations at work by a certain time. So they would get us dressed, make sure that they locked up the house, and then we would go over to my grandma's or my aunt's house to catch the bus with our cousins.
So you didn't hear her get up in the middle of the night at all then, did you?
No, besides the time that she got up to use the restroom, because we shared the same room, but
Yeah.
her bed was closer to the wall, like the back wall of the room, and my bed was closer to the light switch, as far as I could lay in my bed, and when I raised up in my bed, I could cut on the light. And the door was right there at the head of my bed, and so that pretty much was. And like all of the windows in the room and stuff are nailed down. Like my parents nailed the windows down and stuff, just because again they both work like 10 to 12 hour jobs, and then with us being at school, just safety precautions in
Oh,
a
yeah.
sense. I don't really know how to word it. Like they
I
just
get
used to nail down the windows, like in the back window of the kitchen and the back window of the apartment. Because I mean, of our bedroom, which was the back window of the apartment, because of the simple fact we had a big like back porch, where my dad had like his where he cuts grass and just any like type of tools and stuff. But just in case, like I mean, you never know what's going on with in somebody's mind. So they just basically had the windows like nailed down, so we ain't never have to. They ain't never have to worry about us opening the window or leaving the window open by mistake type deal.
Yeah.
So that night, did you actually see her get up and go to the bathroom, or you just heard the springs? Because it's always reported you just heard the springs, but since I'm talking to you.
No, I actually seen her go to the bathroom, and like she goes in there, shuts the door, use the bathroom, flush the commode, wash her hands, and when she comes back in the room, it was nothing out of the norm as far as that. I used to cut the light on, like, "You all right?" Like basically ask her if she all right, whether I'm half asleep or not. And then she used to when she got back in her bed, I used to cut the light back off, and we used to just go back to sleep.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah.
So how are you guys holding up now with all this stuff coming out, man?
And so the thing about it is, especially I guess with what I'm gonna refer to as new news of this week, is the sheriff department did their due diligence in letting my parents know, and of course my parents convey that message to myself due to my work schedule and let me know. And so we knew it was going to come out. Same thing I've been telling everyone else, what we couldn't necessarily predict is the shock value of how the media released the information. And it's just, as much as the facts of what was discovered to issue the warrants, we're just asking that everybody still respect the fact that it is an ongoing investigation, and making sure that it's not false narratives painted, because that then clouds the judgment of getting to the what actually happened or the real answers and the honesty of that.
Right.
I understand people are going to have every right to feel how they feel concerning the situation now that its names being attached to it, but at the same time, you don't want to bash those people where we go 25 years of not having answers.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because people sure got crazy quick.
And I mean, that's the biggest thing. It's something that definitely impacts my family, especially my mom, my dad, myself, and then of course our connected family outside of that, meaning like the people that raised them and the people that raised us, and then the community in itself. This is something even you two guys have been invested in since the beginning. So with Shelby being a tight-knit community and everything, it's like it's hard to fathom that it's somebody in the area where this has not been something that was like quiet as kept type thing. It simply was each year, especially I can say the first 10 to 15, where we tried everything to keep the word out there and just knew that somebody at the end of the day had to know something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know when things sort of went cold for a long time, there was no news on anything. You guys, your mom and dad and you, man, y'all were hounding, just keeping this story alive, just, doing the prayer walk every year, doing tidbits here and there to keep this story out there, man. Kudos to y'all for doing this because, I can't even imagine what y'all been through. And how do you deal with the things now with the, you see stuff coming out on social media and the news. How do you prepare yourself for that, or do you even read?
Just stay away from it.
Or do you even read that stuff?
So yes, I see it all. The biggest thing is my parents might not see it all because they're not like social media inclined in that aspect, but they are aware of it as well. But one of the things that I've known as far as growing up into my own man and everything is when you can't control what's happening, you have to control how you respond to it.
Very true.
I could
That's
easily be
man.
impulsive and jump off the hinges and be like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. What does that prove when ultimately there hasn't been an arrest made? There hasn't, like, it's all circumstantial at this point in time.
Yeah.
Yes, do the text messages prove that they may have been involved and that they may have had something to do with it? Yes. We're a step closer. That's what that means to me, that we're a step closer. That's what it means to my family. No, we haven't been like jumping in front of cameras and everything because we don't do this for any type of clout or anything else. I can certainly just being transparent with you. It was times I said, well, maybe I should push this interview that we're doing now back again. And I was like, no, it's okay. I'm going to make sure that they have been patient with me and they have let me do it on my time, that I'm going to make sure that I still do it, even though we didn't know when the news was going to release it. We just knew that they were going to release it at some point. So we didn't have like a set date or time. So when the news hit, yes, it does leave an impact. But the biggest thing is, at the end of the day, our family just want closure. We want to know where she is, what happened, and then we can take the time to process and digest that.
And move on.
But no, it's not. It's not easy. And it's a reason you said that and I did it. We'll never move on from it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we carry her with us in everything that we do.
Well, move on. I meant move on to the next stage.
Oh, I didn't take it a negative.
No, you're good, dude.
I promise you.
Yeah.
It's just that I'm saying you will never hear us say that because it's never going to be a move on from it. At the end of the day, like I tell people all the time, especially now being a father myself, that's their baby.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's their baby. My mom and dad only had 2 kids. That's myself and Asha. That's something, in lack of better words, was robbed from them. It's time that they cannot get back.
It was a whole quarter of your family just ripped away.
Yeah, that's right. So
yes.
how does your mom and dad deal with this? things sort of go lull for a while, and then something comes out in the news, or the
So you guys spoke to it,
Yeah.
whether it's
Yeah.
doing the prayer walk, whether it's holding something in solitude at our church, with the pastor and everything in our church family, whether it's just us making sure that we go out to eat, just the three of us, or me when I was in college, making sure that I made the 3-hour trip and everything else. Why? Because it's times where what people don't get to see is that when we are having these walks and stuff, you don't see the preparation and the planning that has to go into that. You just thinking that I'm showing up on this day and this is what it is. No, it can be exhausting because you're still also processing like, I don't want to do this. I wish I didn't have to do this.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing I remember I had to tell my mom one time is, I understand you're not in the mood to do it, but it's not about us. It's about her.
Yeah.
If
Fine.
we don't do it, how can we expect anybody else to do anything?
Well,
The only thing that put the gap in the years of like starting to do it like every other year, or when it was like the absence of the annual walk, is you didn't want it to become routine. You didn't want it to become something out of like, oh, this is the event we're having here, show up. It became more or less like, okay, what else can we do? I don't know what to do. Because again, you're still battling those emotions of, you wish you didn't even have to do it. You wish Asha was here at home.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely. So what was it like, during those years, when there was a lull and you wasn't hearing anything, and, you were still doing the prayer walks, and how was your family dealing with all this? I mean,
You focus on the 9 years that we did have with her.
yeah,
Great answer.
Because your mind, it can play tricks. And what I mean is, as even myself just growing up, it became, I wonder if I know what her laugh is still like. I wonder if I heard my sister call me, would I recognize it if I was in a crowd full of people? I wonder if she's proud of the person I've became. I wonder, was it my fault? I wonder, was it my mom's fault? I wonder, was it my dad's fault? Like your mind can play crazy games, because it's something I once told my cousin. I said, you can't be frustrated with what people think happened. I said, because that's the biggest thing. We don't know what happened, that any narrative could be true.
yeah,
So you sort of had to create a shell or a wall of, okay, even if something happens where people might give up or put it on the back burner of not thinking about it, we're going to make sure that we always are asking the necessary questions, or also pointing out the things of like, hey, this is what's going on. Where y'all at? What's the next step in this? And the investigators did keep us in touch, whether it was traveling to Lumberton, North Carolina, or Pembroke, North Carolina, to visit me when I was in college, or visited my parents even when they transitioned from Asha's childhood home to their new home.
mm-hmm.
So again, everything wasn't made public, but at the same time, they did start doing their due diligence of making sure that we was kept in the know, and we tried to do our own way of making sure that people know that, yes, we're still searching. I remember it used to be a time I didn't post my sister on social media because I didn't want people finding me on social media to talk about it. People use things to build their own brand or to get recognition, especially in the social media world. But at the same time, you got to look at it in the sense of, regardless if it's fake news or real news or anything else, people saying my sister's name is the quickest way to get us closer to the truth.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you deal with all that fake news coming out, and you see stuff that is not true?
Especially knowing or ahead of time.
Yeah.
Well,
You just don't even pay attention.
you guys probably gonna find it funny a little bit, but it reminds me of an old quote, and the quote goes, "Never argue with the fool, because from a distance people can't tell who is who."
Yeah.
Very
So
good point, man.
Yeah. Wise
so
words from O'Brien. Yeah.
when people have their opinions, they're entitled to their opinions. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it wrong. Sometimes you hear like, okay, you got part of the story right. Now you going way left field. And it's like, even though it can be frustrating, even though at times I feel it clouds investigations or anything else, because of the fact now you're throwing this narrative that the police got to literally look at it like, okay, did we check that route or anything else? Where it takes away from the real story or what really happened.
Yeah.
And so for me, it became maturity, I can say, more than anything, and my faith in God, and the fact that me and my family pray about it as much as we possibly can. Even in the moments that we feel weak, we still pray. And that's because God is how we have made it these 25 years. I don't know what else to tell anybody.
Yeah, I could really tell, by meeting your parents, the other day at the walk. It was really impressive, and it was really, I don't know, spiritual, really, to do that walk and take those steps, and then to meet your parents and to listen to her talk, and talking about how, well, all I can tell you is we know a little more this year than we do the last 25, and it's just that little bit of grabbing and going is all you can do, I guess. But yeah, your parents were very, I think earned a lot of respect from me, talking to your dad and talking to your mom, just the few minutes we had.
I'll tell you, dude, for me, it was very emotional, O'Brien. I mean, because honestly, I've never done the prayer walk before, but to experience that and to see your family and the emotion, man, I was overwhelmed. The emotion of the whole prayer walk and the people and the singing and the prayer. I mean, everything was just, I told Dale, after we got done, I said it was so surreal.
Yeah, very.
To be in that moment for Asha.
Taking them steps.
Yeah, taking those steps. Like you said on
yeah,
at your speech, Asha took those steps, and we took those steps to help remember her. Yeah, that was just very overwhelming for me, dude.
No, I mean, that is definitely the reason that my parents and the loved ones in our life that help volunteer with putting it together and everything else, that is what they originally started it for. When you don't know what else to do, you try to represent her from the family perspective. Why? Because yes, whether it's the news, the social media, the new age media, whatever else, if you don't put the real perspective out there, that allows people to create a perspective of you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's the authenticity in it. Each year, as you see, nobody's reading from their phone or reading from a piece of paper. It's what's on our heart at that point in time. Of course, there's been moments where you might hear the bare minimum, or you might get what occurred on this one. Each time it is different. And like, even to that point of what my dad said in one of his interviews is, nah, I didn't know I was going to say what I end up saying. It's just the purpose of the annual walk, in a sense, is to allow individuals that have always wanted to make a walk to finally make it.
Yeah.
Why? Because of the scheduling of it all. We didn't necessarily change the schedule of doing it the Saturday before until like the last 8 years. Probably a little longer than that, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. 25 years is definitely a long time.
That's a lot of walking.
But at the same time, it became that we understand people have their own loved ones that they celebrate on the exact day that she went missing. So to that point, that's where we try to do it the week before. Um, and then of course, like in this specific year, which is not the only year that has happened, is it does happen before like Super Bowl Sunday and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's why in my speech that I gave you, you did hear me say that if it was just five of us, we still would have did it. It's just simply to make sure that people that wanted the opportunity, which it was still people that did want to try to make it, probably underestimated traffic or with the conditions of the weather flip-flopping, wasn't feeling their best and couldn't make it out there.
Right.
It was just giving more than enough opportunity to allow people to make it, because of course you still have people that have their work schedules and their daily lives and daily responsibilities and priorities that they're responsible for.
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter had just gotten home. She was with my other daughter in Charlotte, and she came in. It's like, when are you going to that thing? I'm like, it starts at 3. And it's like, I don't know, something after 2. And she's like, I really want to go. I'm like, well, get ready, let's go. So we came, and man, I'm telling you, when you were talking about your dad in your speech, I just looked over, and she was bawling. And then I look at her, and I look back at you, and then you had the tears popping up, and then they got me. It was a very emotional experience, dude. And I can't imagine how that feels to have somebody talk so much stuff about somebody you love so much, but to bring that out like that in front of everybody, it just shows what kind of man you are. And I was really impressed with you and how you are. I just, a lot of respect to you, man.
Very, very respectful. Yeah.
Well, I mean, one thing I can say is in that specific moment, I tried not to think about how it made me feel. And what I mean by that is being in the house, being a part of this specific family in the way that I am, it becomes that I hear the narratives. I hear where people say, oh, my dad had something to do with it. And I'm like, me and my mom know that whole dynamic. And what I mean is, them two was probably closer than close. If you look a lot of times within the family pictures and things that are posted and everything, my dad was your girl's dad type deal. Like, meaning as me being the son, it's, you better not cry, you better be tough and everything else. With my sister is, oh, it's okay, wipe yourself off. Like, don't get me wrong, he loves us both, but
Right.
It's definitely the delicacy when it came to my sister. Like, if he seen me being too rough on the basketball court or anything else, he was going to let me know, especially when it came to her. Their dynamic was they had their own individual like relationship, just like me and my mom have our own individual relationship. It's crazy now because like coming up in life, when my dad would see me and my mom get into it, is because we do act alike. That he would be like, I don't know why you argue with it. And it's because it's like, I ain't gonna get nowhere, she ain't gonna get nowhere, but we both gonna end up just mad and then get over it. And that was just how the dynamic of it worked. Is so watching people attack his character as a man, and now especially now with the news and everything that has came out and is still continuing to come out, because again, it still is an ongoing investigation. I just wanted to, in that moment, like I said, I sort of felt the rage of it. But at the same time, it was, I wanted my dad to know that I wanted to apologize to him. I didn't have nothing to apologize for. But in that moment, in that instance, it still, to me, needed to be said. And I felt who better to do it at that time, seeing that I had the mic.
You felt that in the moment. That's right.
And we felt it.
Oh, yeah.
For
I think
sure.
the whole crowd felt it.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian, I want to go back to the night she disappeared. And, you know, the thought that keeps running through my mind is, why would Asha leave the house? What would get her out of that house on that night, on a cold February night? And I know you pondered this, your family's pondered this.
For 25 years.
25 years. What do you think would have gotten her out of the house, man?
That's when people ask me, like, because of course when people find out, like, oh, that's your sister, they do have so many questions they want to ask, and I tell them, you can ask me, it's okay. And when we start on this particular question,
Yeah.
that is the most painful and hurtful thing, is you can't figure it out.
Yeah.
You can't wrap your mind around it, and you don't have an answer that even makes sense or that fits. And what I mean by that is, you guys seen the people that showed up for, as far as the walk.
Oh yeah.
It's probably times 10 to 20 of that when you consider my entire family. And what I mean by that is, my parents could tell us no, and we still was going to get whatever we asked for. We was that spoiled. I don't even like using the word spoiled, but that's just literally what it was. If my mom and dad said we couldn't have something, we would go to my uncle, we would go to my grandparents, we would go to my aunts. They're going to give it. If our older cousins had it, they're going to give it. Like that was the thing. So when it comes to the dynamic at home, it was nothing. We literally, is, you just don't know. And I mean, I guess you can hear it in the answer. It's trying to search for the answer. You just don't know what could have caused it. And so even with the improvements and the advancements of what's going on today and what's been happening this week and what happened in September, and what happened in 2016, you still want to know that answer. What caused her to leave the house?
Right.
Yeah. And that may not ever be answered.
It may not, but like I tell people, for myself, that became the hardest thing. And then, of course, like I said earlier, the curiosity of the mind starts to try to fill the gaps as well. It's like, that's my best friend. Why wouldn't she tell me? Why wouldn't she let me know? Why, like it's that what made me start paying attention to the people that come in and out of my life.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, that's the number one lesson that I learned from Asha's disappearance, is to never take anything for granted. And the second lesson I learned behind that is, you never know what people are going through. And then to dive into that even more as I developed into a man myself, it became, mental health is very real. Like, you don't know what someone is thinking, and you don't know where everything may look calm and okay on the surface. Did you just take the time to check? And so that was something I told myself going forward. I try to do with anybody that I come in contact with. If you guys see with the walk, I literally, when I arrived to the walk, I told my dad we're going to give it 15 minutes due to I knew people was probably going to be running late. And I made sure that I tried to the best of my ability, of the people that were already outside of their cars, that I went, shook their hands, spoke to them as quickly as I could, so that I could thank them for showing up.
Yeah.
Because you never know what somebody had to sit down just to show up.
Right.
Very true.
Till your mama said, "Oh, Brian, we need you over here now."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She
It's
called you
because-
O'Brien. Yeah.
It's because my parents believe in being prompt, being on time, because, again, that is something that you learn even in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Time is the one thing you can't get back.
Yeah.
So we don't believe in wasting anybody's time. That's why I always try to thank people for being patient with me, and that's why I started this interview off with that, is simply thank you guys for your patience, because I know it can be frustrating, especially when it comes to my work schedule, but making sure I have the energy and the clearness of mind to address any questions that you might throw towards me becomes important to me. because of the simple fact I don't want to do it when I'm half tired. I don't want to do it when it's like, I wanted to go back and say this type deal.
Right.
No, I wanted it to be just as you guys heard with the speech, heartfelt and the honest truth.
Yeah. Can I ask you about the book bag or the backpack that was found? Some of
The
the
black book bag is what she took to school.
yeah, well,
Um,
the book that was in it, the McGilligot's Pool or McGilligot's Pond, Dr. Seuss book.
Do you remember seeing that? Is that what you was going for?
Yeah, did she ever have that book you know of?
so, like, of course, in our elementary school, went to Foston Elementary.
Right. My
We
kids
had
did too.
different reading materials, and then you also had like the book fair and things like that of where you could purchase a book. So, of course, our parents gave us money for that. I do know that the book that she was reading at the time in the class was The Whipping Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then that was just probably a book that she liked. Why? Because we always had the Cat in the Hat books. What is it? Sam I Am,
Yeah, Green Eggs and Ham, yeah.
Yeah.
The Cat in the Hat books. My mom used to buy us a collection of it. She actually either still has them or I made her get rid of them. And why? Because it's just, you try to hold on to everything, but yeah, some stuff it just can't be held on to. But I do know that over the course of time, the books like start messing up. So, like, yeah, my mom was big on that. She was big on having us read different type of books and stuff like that. So that was just one of the books that was in our house.
Okay. I just didn't know where. There's been a lot of questions about where that book came from. If she had checked it out from the library, or if it was her book, or she borrowed it from a friend.
No, my mom used to have this thing where you could buy like series of books.
Okay.
So it's like it always came in collections. Like I said, we had the Cat in the Hat and all of those books. Like we literally had every Disney movie at the time that came
Okay.
out. Aisha had her own like princesses books, or like Cinderella, Pocahontas, Snow White, all of that. Like so, it was like
So she's a pretty avid
everything
reader.
my
Huh?
parents bought. Usually, it wasn't just one of. Like for me, I had my Ninja Turtles, my Power Rangers, all
Heck
that
yeah.
stuff. Like it became that dynamic that. That's what I mean when I say we were spoiled. It wasn't you got the bare minimum. You got it in a flux of everything. Like it
Yeah.
was like, and because we usually did everything together, it became, well, if one got it, the other one can get something similar, or vice versa. So that way, it limited any arguing because my mom was not having that.
I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah. What about that new Kids on the Block T-shirt? What are your thoughts on that?
The new Kids on the Block T-shirt, we sort of went like back and forth about it because we can't really remember it, because I mean it is a long time, but at the same time, like, my parents were familiar like with the group and everything else, so we used to have the way our clothes has always been separated. Was you had your play clothes, you had your sleep clothes, you had your school clothes, you had your church clothes. So honestly, I couldn't tell you where the shirt came from, um, or if possibly
If it's somebody else's.
if it's possibly somebody else's. Yes, I'm not 100% sure. Like the basketball jersey, of course we knew that was hers. And
Yeah.
like I said, it was her first year playing. It was a thing that me and her got from the movie Space Jam. Where Michael Jordan said he wears Carolina shorts under all his basketball shorts. It became that, yeah, this our uniform. Like we used to literally want to be in the backyard in our game attire type deal. So it's like that we knew was hers. It's different little things like the keychain to the house key and everything that they found in certain in the book bag and stuff. Like all of those things was hers. But as far as that shirt, can't really say that it triggers anything in my memory if it's hers or not.
Yeah, it's kind of odd to me. I mean, I don't know. That just seems like that would be something you would know if she wore that band shirt or not. So I'm probably leaning towards maybe it wasn't.
Yeah. We just didn't know if she'd got it from somebody else or got it from that sleepover or what.
Or if it just wasn't hers.
Yeah, it just wasn't hers at all.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just questions that pop up. People ask, and where does this come from? Where does that come from? So when we had you, we thought we'd ask some of this stuff and try to fill in some holes, man.
Well, I mean, that becomes the thing with the other question that you asked of where you stated that, what happens when it seemed like it did grow a little cold, or it was years where you didn't hear anything. I remember it was like January of 2016. Not 2016, I think it was 2015 to be exact. They showed up at the college in which I was. They asked me, was it okay if we meet? I told them yes. And I remember they pulled out pictures on top of pictures on top of pictures on top of pictures of the things that they had in custody as far as the investigators. And it was like never at that point in time did I realize they had that much stuff.
Wow.
Like, so a lot of times where public wise it seemed that, it's grown cold, it really was never deemed a cold case because they were bringing in new sets of eyes and new people that wanted to be involved in the case to try to see if they could help get it resolved. So when they showed us all of those things, it literally was like, okay, all right.
So stuff was going on when nothing was being released, but they were letting y'all know stuff that was happening sort of along the way.
Yes, and that's where it created the dynamic of, well, you can't tell your parents just yet. And, I mean, that's just a part of the investigation aspect.
I get it.
Right.
It became that, like, they would interview us together. They would interview us not together. Or I guess in some cases it could have been deemed as like an interrogation at times as well. But like I always tell people, yes, I understand that in certain other situations, yeah, it possibly could have been one of the parents at first. However, neither one of my parents, for one, they have never not participated in the investigation or anything else. And number two, it's if the pain of her disappearance, if those walls could talk, if those walls could talk. That's how I know prayer in itself is a strong thing, because we all felt like we had to be strong for each other. So a lot of times, if we do have our moment of breakdown, it's never in front of each other. Ironically enough, it's never really in front of each other, because we came to the point of trying to make sure that if nothing else, we got each other.
Yeah. Well, you were 10 going on 11. You just you had to grow up just a little bit.
Grow up fast.
Well, definitely had to grow up fast, because what some people, I guess in a sense, forget or may not realize in that situation is that my dad basically went through a head-on collision with a car, which, of course, they tried to deem that he tried to kill himself, but it was just due to having high blood pressure at the time, and blacked out and ended up going in a car accident. So my mom is in the hospital taking care of my dad, who is in the ICU, and I'm still having to go to school every day.
Yeah.
So it was those times that, that's why I tell people, when people try to ask me where did my relationship with God come from, it was that, to be in a house that you grew up in by yourself, where you were so used to seeing your sister, your mom, and your dad. Like, granted, my aunts and them went down the road, so they would watch me and everything, or make sure I didn't need anything, but it was, I wanted to be at home, but I didn't realize the dynamic of being in the house by myself.
Yeah, that alone, being alone kicked
Because
in hard, huh?
Yeah.
like, and for myself, it became, it's no other way to word it. That was where open the Bible, and ironically, it became the book of Job.
Mm.
Like, I, to this day, I still can't fathom why that specific book or anything else, but within that, something resonated with me, and it was like, I got to be strong for my parents, because basically, you had to grow up fast. It was, I got to make sure I do what I need to do in school, but of course, I'm still like a preteen at that time, so of course, I'm doing stuff bad.
Yeah.
But and of course, it's like people thought I was doing stuff for attention, and I didn't care for attention because my sister's case brought a lot of that.
Yeah, you had all the attention you wanted then, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes, and so
And some.
it became just a lot of dynamics of learning to balance. But then also, when you finish school and when you finish football practice or basketball practice, well, at the time I think it was basketball practice, no, football practice, I would have to go up to Charlotte and sit with my parents in the hospital
Hmm.
Wow.
because I was curious of if my dad was going to live or not. So then, post that, which was that was literally like either 8 months after my sister went missing or a year and some months after my sister went missing, it became the reshaping of the house because my dad had to learn how to walk again and everything.
Man.
So you got a ramp being built, but still trying to figure out, okay, where my basketball goal gonna go? Because luckily my parents did put me in counseling to where it became just that they put me in counseling, and the therapist at the time had told me how to channel my emotions. So I used to put it in sports. So at that point in time, I did quit playing baseball because I told my mom it didn't feel fun no more. And the only reason it didn't feel fun no more was because I had lost my counterpart. I had lost my best friend.
Wow.
Baseball felt natural. Football, it allowed the aggression to come out. Basketball, I had to learn, but because she was so good at it, it drew my attention the most because it was like when I'm playing, we on the court together.
Oh man, yeah.
So now, O'Brien, with all this stuff coming out, it's pretty much day to day for you and your family. I mean, you could get a knock on the door any day or a phone call and say, "We've got this, we've got that." What is that emotion like for you guys?
You learn how to stay even keel. And what I mean by that, you try not to get too high. You try not to get too low. It's the balance of the emotions because with the excitement, as far as are we finally about to get answers, it creates the space for disappointment.
Yes.
Yeah, very true.
And that's the biggest thing that I feel people from the outside looking in don't understand. Is that you run into a situation where it seems like you're so close that who's to say if everything doesn't go exactly as proposed it could go, that it's not another 5 years or not another 10 years or not another 25. And that's the part that you try not to think about. So you just have to stay balanced and take everything for face value. When they come to us to let us know,
Yeah.
then you can have your moments and stuff like that. So I just try to make sure that my parents are good. But I know that we all deal with it in our own individual ways, because even though we all are enduring the same thing, I tell people all the time, and like my mom stated in her speech, she didn't want to call it grief, but people grieve differently. People process things differently.
Yeah, they do.
So even though we all are encountering the same obstacle, the same tribulation, the same hurdle, we each individually have to do what we need to do so that we can make sure that we have the energy to take it on.
And not get too excited when something happens. Just
You can't.
take it in stride.
You can't. Like, I remember, I believe that was 2016 when they started making the flyers with the green car.
Yeah.
You start to get like, okay, maybe this the year. And even though the investigators and everything are doing their due diligence, it becomes, you think about that in the totality of it. That was 2016.
Mm-hmm.
It was 2024 September when anything about the green car was brought up again.
Yeah, because if you get your hopes up big then, and then it's 10 years before you hear anything else.
And
So,
that's the thing that you sort of learn is that, okay, where everybody else can be in that moment and say, oh, it's this. You can even take now, for example. And what I mean is, of course, everybody has their own lives and everything else. But September, you have people, blowing my parents' phone up, blowing my phone up and everything else to show their support in the case and everything have you. But then when you go into that pivotal part that's after that, which is the holiday season of where anybody that has ever lost a loved one or run into a similar situation that we're dealing with now, those are the moments where you really think about the person that's not there.
right.
Is in the holiday season. Those phone calls wasn't there then. So I get it from the same point when things come out in the media is everybody has an opinion, but at the same time, you hold true to the people that's checking on you on your day to day or checking on you during those difficult times as well, because it grows silent from September through January, and then February, the news media pops back up, and now everybody's reaching out to you.
Right.
The same way that my family and myself have turned down interviews this week, but I'd already told you guys, so that's why I wanted to make sure I stayed true to that.
Well, we appreciate that so much. We were at the walk, and I saw you in front of a bank of microphones talking to like 3 or 4 news stations. And man, you were so professional. You were so on task and answering their questions. I was really impressed with you. I know you've learned to do this over the years, but I was really impressed.
Oh, no.
I'm really impressed. Yeah.
That's the thing. I appreciate that, but I haven't learned that this is probably one of the first years I can honestly say that I myself has been speaking more, meaning I know my parents are tired.
Oh yeah, man. I could see it.
I know they are tired.
I could see it.
Yeah.
Like, that was literally why I did make the introduction between y'all and them. Because at the end of the day, I did want you to at least have that, even if they choose not to do it, that at least you were able to meet them and say your piece to them at that point in time as well. And it's not to say that they won't do it or that they're not planning to do it. It's a lot. So I know that they're tired.
Yeah.
And as I told one of the ladies that was helping me organize it and get in touch with the correct people to get everything together, it became, I told her, I said, we can't lose momentum, even though my parents are getting older. So if I got to be the one to step into it, I'll be the one to step into it. So my biggest thing with that was, with those interviews and everything else, I don't want to do it, but hey, somebody has to do it. So I'm the next closest. Why not?
Well, O'Brien, before we close out, is there any last thing you want to say, or
Yeah, we've kept you longer than
anything you need to say or put out there before we close this out, man?
I want to thank everyone's attention and intentions on getting justice for my sister, finding the answers for my sister. One thing I want people to be aware of is try not to attack people at all. But number one, try not to attack the people that are being mentioned in the search warrants, because that could draw them into a shell where we never get the answers.
Yeah.
Regardless of what occurred, regardless of what has been shown, displayed, or said, me and my family, we want the truth, and we want the answers, and we want the closure of what happened. That's more important than anything else. And before jumping to conclusions, just remember there has not been any arrests made. Allow the investigation to continue as it needs to, so that we can get the truth and get the closure that we desire.
Very well said.
Thank you all for respecting our wishes.
Yeah, very well said.
Yeah, that's a good place to end right there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, O'Brien, we sure appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I know we promised you, an hour or so, and we've run you over a little bit, but thanks so much for your time. You're always thanking everybody else for theirs, but from us, me and Donnie both, we really appreciate you coming on and doing this. And I told Donnie the other day, I said, I don't know, he may not want to do it after this stuff came out. I said, and if you don't, we totally understand. We'll reschedule and do it again. But, man, thanks so much for doing this.
Oh, no, I actually turned down a lot of people.
Well, we feel honored.
I don't say it in that way. It's you guys, even in this segue that I just stated, that in September was, honestly, I think Roger had my car in July. I think you guys been in contact with me since August throughout. You stayed patient even when I grew silent.
Right.
Yeah.
And that, I can always respect that.
I told Dale you'd do it in your own time.
Right. And that's the same thing. I was like, well, we sent him a message. We talked, and I'll leave it there. I'm not, because I can't imagine what you guys
we
go
get it.
through.
We get it, man.
So we get it, yeah.
Well, like I tell everybody, people will be like, are you good? I'm okay.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, no, I'm not the type of individual to just say I'm okay to say I'm okay to, like, get you out my way type deal, because I would rather not answer you. But it becomes the roller coaster of emotions. And so for me, as I stated, even in the interview, is just making sure I was in the right headspace of being open to do it. It's an emotional topic.
Oh, yeah.
But the biggest thing about it is I don't want to lead with emotions. I want to make sure that we can conduct the interview as we need to, that even if a tear falls or anything else, that we're able to get through it. That way it's not, I got to stop, I got to end it. And then you guys don't get the things that you were looking to get, because everybody has their own arena. Everybody has their own platform, and a lot of things go into that. So I just appreciate you bringing the awareness to the case over the course of the years, as well as what you continue to do.
Well, we thank you, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you so much.
Yep. Well, Brian, I hope you have a good night, man, and take care. And we will keep you and your family in our thoughts and prayers, and hopefully something will be resolved soon and get you guys some answers.
Thank you for that.
All right, man.
All right. We'll see you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right.
All right, dude. Man, we want to thank O'Brien Degree again.
Man, I don't have enough thanks to fill up a truck and take over and give it to him.
No.
It was awesome.
No.
Such a great guy to give us that much of his time, and I know he's busy, and I know he works a tough schedule and a lot of stuff going on in his life, and just to give us an hour and a half there was just monumental in my opinion.
Yeah, we had a little bit of technical difficulty during all that, but I edited it all out. But yeah, it went really well, and man,
What a guy.
yeah, him and his family, man, and
Strong people, man.
very strong. I mean, yeah, no words. I have no words for it. We hope everybody enjoyed that interview. It was very emotional, and yeah, and he done that for us. He's turned down a lot of interviews and agreed to do it. We've had this plan for a while, off and on, and yeah.
Well, we've chatted about doing something, and he said he would, a while back, and then stuff comes up, and it's no big deal. And we, like you said, we're very patient, but I mean, we're not trying to rush anybody. We just wanted to talk.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what happened today.
Yeah, just talk.
We're very fortunate, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much, O'Brien.
Yes. All right, bud. We're going to get out of here, man.
All right, let's roll, John.
We want everyone to be safe. Just please be careful out there and always be aware of your surroundings.
Because the next episode could be about you.
This is the Crack House Chronicles.